Hello, good afternoon, everyone. And as we are standing right now, the first days of the month of Elul, getting ready for the coming year, Rosh Hashanah. And as we know, the month of Elul altogether, we have 30 days, and there's 30 days of preparation, 30 days that we calculate our year that passed in order to begin a new year. So hopefully we wish everyone, and I wish myself, including everyone, that the preparation of this month should be a good preparation in order to get ready for Rosh Hashanah, for a good, beautiful year to come. So let's learn one line, one word in this week's Parsha to live with at this Shabbat coming up, to live with a great idea in this week's Parsha. And as we see in this week's Parsha, there's many different beautiful ideas to learn. And there's many lessons and many laws, etc. But just one point right in the beginning of the Parsha, we're learning over there a very strong statement if you look very well in the verses. And there it says that all what you need to know, you should take it to the judge in that time. And it specifically says the judge in that time. Every generation's got his own judges, and that's where you should go. And the Torah tells us, V'asita kechol asher yorucha, and you should do whatever they tell you to do. Whatever they say to do, this becomes law. And as we know from there derive the whole idea of rabbinical law, that the Torah tells us that whatever the rabbis and the generations that you live in say, we have to follow it. So all the rabbinical laws that we have from Torah until today all fits into this law that we're having in this week's Parsha, that we always got to follow what the rabbis are telling us. And it goes on and it says that even when you see there's got to be the left side, when they give you the right side, or the right side and they give you the left side, and it looks to you completely the opposite, you have to know that they are more superior than you. They're much greater than you. They know it better when if they say you should listen. Sometimes it's hard for us. Sometimes we think we know better, but we have to know that this is what the Torah teaches. The lesson of the Torah this week is whatever the rabbi, the judge of your generation says, this becomes law. This becomes the law of Hashem. And as we find many stories in the Talmud about that. Until we go to the famous story in the Talmud in Rosh Hashanah, the story with Rabbi Gamliel beating the head of Sanhedrin in his times. And he made a ruling about Rosh Chodesh a certain time. And he said Rosh Chodesh is this particular day. And with the great scholars, and at that time was a great scholar, Rabbi Shua Bechananya, if you look up the Gemara there. And he disagreed. And nevertheless, even though he disagreed, he went to this great rabbi, his name is Rabbi Doisa ben Arkinas, and he told him, even though you make sense, even though you are smart, and as we know Rabbi Shua ben Hanania was, the wisdom of Torah was full by him, and he's older than Rabbi Gamli, the leader of the generation at that time, the head judge, but he tells him the way it's got to be, that whenever you are, in any time you are, you got to listen to the judgment of the Sanhedrin, and the head of the Sanhedrin at that time is Rabbi Gamliel. And he told Rabbi Shua ben Hanania, that's the way it goes. It's not your wisdom that's going to make it. It's what the judge in that time tells us to do. I'm not going to get into the whole story of the Talmud, many details, but it's a beautiful lesson in the Talmud, how we have to know in that time, and also in our time, even more so, that we're kasita kechol asher yorucha. When you see the spiritual rabbi and he tells you what to do, don't think you know better, don't think you're smarter. There's a famous story at the time of the Balatanya, the first Rebbe of Chabad, about two people, two great Hasidim. And each one came to ask a question in business. And one, his name was Rabbi Yossef, if I'm not mistaken, asked him about the idea of selling wine. And he told him it's not a good idea. It's hard to keep it. A whole explanation he gave him how he should not go into that business. And then it came another chassid, and he asked him the same question. And he told him, amazing, you should do it. Both asked the same question. To one he said no, and to one he said yes. The end of the story was, as we know, both of the Hasidim did it. The one that he told them not to do lost his money with that business. The one that he told him to do made a fortune with that. We got to follow what our great leaders are telling us. There's a story with our Rebbe in our generation. I'm not going to mention names, but it's a story that we experienced about two great people, business people, very fine people. And they were both standing by the Rebbe. At that time, there would be a special time that people that would donate money to Machane Yisrael would go pass by the Rebbe and get special blessing each one. And one fellow passed by then the Rebbe and asked the Rebbe a question that he would like to invest in the Soviet Union past. It was then 1991, if I'm not mistaken, opened up it for business. So he asked the Rebbe, I have a great opportunity to get involved there. Should I do that? And the Rebbe told him, it's still rocky. I don't think it's right for you to invest. Don't do that. Right after him, there was another great chassid, a great businessman too, that passed by. And he had the same question, but he didn't want to ask because he already saw what the Rebbe answered the previous fellow, that it's not a good investment. So he didn't ask. The Rebbe turns to him, don't you have a question to ask? He says, I had, but I have the answer. So he says, no, what is your question? So he gives him the question, the same as the other fellow. And he tells him, I have a great opportunity investing in the previous Soviet Union and can make a lot of money with that. Should I do so? When the Rebbe answers him, yes, go ahead, do it, and you'll do very well. And as we know, this fellow, he invested and he made a lot of money. The other chassid was a great chassid and he did not invest. Why did he tell him this way? Why did he tell him that way? That's the way the judge knows how things have to go. And this is what the Torah teaches us. We have to follow what our rabbis in our generation say. And we will follow the rabbi in our generation. That's when the bracha of Hashem is with us. And we'll succeed. And as we said before in the beginning, we'll have great success spiritually, physically, in all means for the coming year. Good Shabbos.